Okay, get this typed in. Okay, I'll get the live stream going here, I guess. I think we're ready to go, right, Vince? And you're going to record to the cloud.
Can you hear me, Vince? Can I use the camera which you have on a laptop for the next 4 or 5 weeks teaching? Instead
Sound check, and no, I can't. Just a second. Let's begin. Welcome everyone to the 92nd Keshe Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And we're here with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation at the Spaceship Institute in Italy, and ready to begin another Thursday teaching here with the Knowledge Seekers Workshop. We've got some amazing crystal-based technology that we're starting to discuss and get interested in here. So let's begin and see what Mr. Keshe has for topics of the day. Go ahead there, Mr. Keshe.
good morning, good day to you, as usual, whenever and wherever you listen to these workshops. This is what we call a half-term workshop. The teaching side has shut down last week, but we carry on with our normal, usual Thursday teachings, where we go through all the holiday seasons for Christmas and New Year. We did it last year, we carry on. We try to keep the same up this year. The process of the teaching will not change as much, but the knowledge which is gained and is going to be gained will be processed and will be carried on the same structure, where on the 18th of January, when we come back, the two set of teachings for the first year and the second year will carry on parallel to each other. As part of the teaching, we have introduced a new dimension into the teachings last week. You want to close it or do you want to restart it? You want me to press close? Okay. The teachings as we explained, from next term, will change drastically in the direction of total plasma and total lift and motion. Our target is to start the process of first what you call spaceship technology. You have all the ingredients to achieve it. We have explained most of this in the teachings of past 2 years. Now we're bringing all the parts together, all the bits of knowledge which has been taught and left will come together in a very beautiful way. We taught you the start with nanotechnology. We went into the structure of using gas and coils with ionization of what we call gases, using helium, high rotation. Then in that process we learned a lot in how fields were reacting and interacting. And in the process we brought in what we call the GANS cores, and this part a lot of you saw a lot of effects which was not normal and you could not explain. One of them was what we saw 129 Tesla, where the mixture of the GANS unit, which is much stronger, feeding the gas units, which are weaker of the structure in plasma, showed high drainage from one to another. A lot of you should have learned a lot in that point where we saw the 129, the properties and the difference between the gas and the gaseous state of matter. Then we brought the whole thing forward to the coils, which was part of the structure of the teaching. And from the coils, we're coming to what we call plasma. Now, the plasma is the structure of the universe, and in so many ways, we started with a state of matter. From here, in the next few weeks and the coming time, we start closing the loop. This is how the universe works. Now, in running a universal system, you have seen how plasma, how creates matter. Matter creates nanomaterials. From it, you could use gases, you could use gases, you could use the coils to free the plasma, you could use one in interaction with the others, and somewhere in here, in the past week, we introduced you interaction of what I call his crystal. What does it do? A lot of you got excited with it, but understand the concept and the technology behind it. Crystals, especially matter crystals, have a property, have a beauty where they can operate or facilitate the operation of both sides of the structure. You can use a matter state to reach a plasma state, property of the plasma, which is gravitational magnetic fields, or you can do vice versa. In a way, it's a converter. It's a, have we lost the screen? It's just for the video. You're still on, okay. So what we have done and what we will see is that the structure of crystals are the structure somewhere between matter and a plasma. sp3, a gas, is in a crystal condition orientation. The what you call crystals, which you now chose and some of you are using, is the same kind of process. What it means that you can produce, you can dictate, you can direct the energy of the plasma in one way or another using a condition of the clarity of the crystal, where you can boost the gravitational or you can boost the magnetical. You can increase the matter states towards this entity to become more matter or entity to become more plasmatic. Or you can use the energy of the matter to emphasize the power of the plasma. Concept in the past few days, since we announced it last week, and there is a lot of discussion in the way we do. Let me explain to you what is going to happen. What is the next step? The way I start teaching and you're following is in a deliberate way to make all of you being able to produce lift system. The way all of you made the coils, the way all of you made the, what do you call it, the star formation, all this now will come together. All this technology, all the knowledge, and I've seen a few people have started seeing it, but they are not following it all the way through. As has been the pattern of our teaching, we go to the point that where somebody opens the door that the level of understanding is reached, we expand on it, we teach on it. And strange enough, a lot of people I see have already picked on it. So it means you have managed, or at least you're trying to bridge into the knowledge of space technology in a very small conversion to guarantee that you do not lose the boundary of your craft, which is your protection. Last week, when we showed the crystals with the insertion of CO2, we brought about the process of expanding and extending the power into the emotional level of the man. In that process, where the wish of the man becomes his command to create peace on this planet. Some of you have already started testing your command. Some of you have placed these capacitors. You have placed these, what you call, crystals in a different ways in the circuitry of your programs, in your systems, but you start wishing your will. And some of you have seen results. It's a few days and you're not sure, was it my wish or has it happened accidentally? We had this discussion with Renan just before I come in. He said, I want to test. Renan, are you there? You can explain to us. Are you online? No? Do they hear us? Hello?
I don't I don't see Renan there right now, Mr. Kesh.
Okay. I explain when he listens. When he comes, he can explain himself. But this has happened with other people in other positions too. He has made the system where he has, as we know, Philippines was on a typhoon condition in the north of Philippines, so it's a rainy condition. And he says he wished the minute he saw drops of rain, knowing that there is a typhoon around, he wished that there'll be no cloud. and his wishes happen twice. He set a structure. So he's testing his wish according to the crystal structure he set up, the system he set up. So people are testing if their wish is, before they make the bigger wish, that they can achieve peace. Because this peace is so elusive that is brought fear to man. What happens if I fail? The point is, none of us will fail. If collectively we do, and a lot of you are putting a lot of crystal positioning colors on your cores or whatever, would it come true? It will come, because then is the wish of humanity. And because of the mono-energetic system of the crystals, you will achieve it. Do you have a problem with this? Have you lost the screen? Yeah, but it's still staying at 1%. It's a standard uploading, yeah, because whenever it comes off, it does, it's no problem. So what we see is understanding what is happening, and on the other way, because we have reached this point, I have to extend the knowledge. Otherwise, it can be misused or it can be misunderstood. In Northern Europe, a lot of people carry a lot of crystals. It's normal. You buy it in the markets, you see it everywhere. So a lot of people have these kind of crystals at their possession. So they're testing. Renan sent the people to the mine to buy the crystals because it's near them, and they cut it. Natural crystals are available. You can buy it very cheap, 20, 30 euro. You can buy big pieces of pure crystal without any damage. But what does it do? What does it bring you? Why does it allow your emotion, which is your intent, to be so powerful that you can even stop the clouds? Or is the crystal a way that it gives you confidence to wish, but at least you have a tool to rely on that I use this is as a half-term interim? Is your wish your command? Is what you want is to achieve, will be achieved, but you still need that physical tangibility of the crystal to be able to confirm yes. I said to you last week, we are going to change the course of teaching. We are going to change the course of teaching not by radical evolution, but by bringing, as I said at the beginning of the talks today, bringing all the knowledge together. Man has never been taught so much knowledge in such a compressed way in such a short time. There is no choice. We have to teach at this level, at this speed, otherwise the scattering of the knowledge will become the losses of the past, and collectively we can do. We see people in the smallest islands making the cores, making the coils, making the star formations. We see people in the most advanced nations following the same. So now we have reached enough places. We have reached enough people who are able and are in position to bring the change about. We have reached enough dots on the planet to start the change. So how do we do it? Where do we start? How do we structure collectively to achieve peace, which is the cornerstone of the Keshe Foundation SSI program? Very simple. Go back to the coils. Go back to the star formation. Go back to your nanotechnology. Go back into the Gantt state. Go back into the plasma creation without tangibility, and then you'll find the process is already and has been on the table for past 10 years. Everything which has been taught, been written about, what we have brought up in the private teachings and in the public teachings now has to come together, because in the process of next few weeks, we will start, most probably some of you have already started without knowing, the process of the development of what you call UFOs, or what you call spaceship. It's my job to make sure it's done correctly and it's done in a correct manner, that we all share with it, we all understand it. Today's teaching is fundamental because from now on we target in one way, the spaceship left, building of systems which creates us the totality of the Oasis system, which one part of the Oasis system is being able to lift, not to be in a position of danger. We look at the Oasis as the world where we find comfort, we find pleasure. But one part of the whole Oasis system is being able to move from the position of danger. And as all of you, and most of you, in the past week, been jumping very rapidly into what I call the somewhere at the middle end of the process, I'll tell you one simple thing. If your intention is peaceful, is your intention is correct to achieve balance in all levels, not humanity, but the universal balance, you will see and you will create with the systems you have the totality of what you wish. Last week we had what I call Alex here. I explained to him in a very simple way what should be done with your power units and the conversion of the plasma into a state of matter. He went back to London and he has managed to convert plasma into matter state by producing oil. What we said, the power units which you have will give you everything you need. So the first time we have shown you can convert the energy from the plasma into the matter state, which is the production of oil, which is the essence of creation of life, and in a large quantity. So we're running another test with him this week. Hopefully if he's online, he can come and explain to us. But what we done, as we said, when you set a system, which is your power unit, which you are all hungry to get 10%, 20%, 30% reduction, was there to give you what we told you from the beginning. This is the power unit, for example. We have removed everything because we are not going to be here. And what if you would have done and would have placed, if you would have placed, as I suggested to you, different cores in different position of your power unit, you should start seeing what you have actually been hoping for. On one side, you produce water. On one side, you produce oil. On one side, you produce whatever you need. In this combination, in a specific way, which you have to understand, we have managed to produce oil in a tangible way. In the other system, we can produce water. So if you look at it, as usual, if we look in the right place, I got a lot of complaint. You were very harsh last week. You used words which was not good. But The words were chosen to ignite and to understand where the pitfalls are, not to insult. It was set deliberately to stop a lot of things which was happening in the background by a few, but not to insult anybody else. But if you listen to the teaching of last week and you understood and you understand this structure where your core reactor sits in the middle, in fact, the core reactor in the middle is your crystal, is the secret of life. You were looking for tangibility of crystal. I gave you the crystal in the reactor composition. You're looking for a few watts of energy. I gave you the whole essence of creation. And this was not to insult last week. It was to explain you always look for the meager crumbs, but you're sitting with the biggest cake in the universe in your hand. If you look, the shape of this power unit is very much triangular, a star formation, and is a crystal structure. You looked to find tangibility of the physicality of the crystal. I looked to teach you the next level of increase in power to be able to produce the elusive, what you've been looking for, space program. Let's bring it together. Let's talk in how the humanity in total can change everything which is there. Can I use it now? Yeah. It doesn't move, it stays there. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Look what I gave you. This is your power unit. Look what you have. A crystal in the middle. Because the cylinder in the center of your coil is a crystal condition. If you look, your coils are stacked on 3 layers. Remember the teaching of the skin of the man. Remember the teaching we had, somebody showed you last week, that when you put 3 layers together, you achieve hexagonal shape, which is shape of the crystal. So, in fact, you looked into the crystal, but I already gave you the crystal through your cores. Pardon? Can you go down now? Can we see the full? So, what you've been looking for to create that crystal is already in your hand, in your possession. So, what do you have to do? You have a crystal in your hand. You've been looking into elusive matter state. You already had it in your hand in the condition of the core. Now, what do we do? What do we do? You build the coils. You nano-coated them. You put GaNs in them. You fill them with the same material, more or less, as the crystals. What have you missed? Why last week I explained you're all physical and this is becoming frustrating and you saw it as an insult, but it wasn't an insult. It was to wake you up how much We cannot go step by step, spoon feeding. Some of you have to extend the knowledge of a man beyond spoon feeding. In your coils, on the 3 stacking unit, you have already achieved the crystal formation on the top, which is what your wish is. The 3 stacker, 3 layer of the inner, middle, and upper skin, all in a Ganser state, creating a hexagonal shape, the way we've seen on the northern poles of Saturn. The way it was shown last week with the gentleman showing us the plasma creating hexagonal shape. Look at your crystals, still hexagonal shape. So your crystal, your wish is in your hand. What is the next step? The next step is, what do we do and how and where do we take this knowledge? Where do we go in understanding what is the next step for man? Go back into the teaching. Go back into what you all got involved so heavily with, and then you thought, we made all these coils, we made all these cores, and he moved on to something new. Because the knowledge of man is in chapters, so we covered the chapter by chapter. Now you have your hexagonal coil, you have your hexagonal field energy. What do you have to do? Go back to origin. Your star formation base, place your coil in the center of the base. You receive your beam. If you look at it in a flat condition, what we've done with all the teachings, this is the base of your star formation. And the true plasmatic crystal in the center of it, which is the coil which you built. You have next step. Now you have managed to beam up a homogeneous beam using the interaction and in conjunction with the coils and the cores. Now, what is the next step? You have one step missing. You have one step to develop the condition of monoenergetic molecular laser, not monoenergetic atomic laser. Because where you have coated the gansers on this coil, your plasmatic crystal is for the first time gives the man the opportunity to create a stable, continuous monomolecular plasmatic energy. You have a CO2, you have the copper oxide, you have zinc, and whatever you put on that coil as a GANS is fixed, it will not move, and it will give you a steady continuation of the fields with what you need to keep a life field, that the field created is the strength of the amino acid of the physicality of the man. When you create a plasmatic field like this, it means now you have built a shielding that allows human life in space. It allows the development of the next step, that whatever comes up of your reactor, of your star formation, will lead to guarantee of the survival of life in space for a human gravitational magnetic field strength. So that Why? You've been brought up through these steps. This is your base. Now, what do we do next? What is the next step? Your base you built has 3 cores of your star formation. You have managed to create a plasmatic crystal which can change according to the environment if you want to change it. You don't need to change material. Now you have the flexibility of guarantee of life, but you have a 4th reactor on the pyramid of the star formation. If you look at it on a plane, you have a core, somewhere a core there. You have your star formation reactor, and you have the top reactor here. Your star formation sits like this, and your coil, your crystal plasma sits over here. And your 4th core is somewhere here. You need to create a second stacker. This second stacker will sit somewhere here, and if your distance judge correct, this is your free plasma in the center of the second stacker. This is why I asked you and I guided you, but I do not enforce. You made a coil with GANS condition, and then you made a coil with firing condition. With a GANS condition, you brought the elements of the earth. With a firing condition, you brought the purity of the structure of monoelectrical, what you call plasma of the matter. So, in fact, what we've seen with 129 system, you create a homogeneous field which transfer back to itself, and in loading and becoming crystallized in so many ways, you create a field that allows you to create your spaceship. The system, the second point, which is the green point on the screen here, becomes so powerful in receiving energy from its feedback and its own structure that it will create a shielding automatically like this. The depth is where it allows your 3 base reactors to operate, and it concludes and brings inclusively all in position of the reaction to interact to create the immediate lift. You've been looking to create a spaceship. Now you have the answer. Any of you who build the star formation, any of you who achieved to create the coils, any of you who achieved to create 2 sets of coils, you should be able to condition your systems to achieve field flight. One tip, I give you one tip, and remember, do not reload your cores, but do not put them on rotation. Do not put your coils on rotation. Because if you do so, You separate the plasma, and then you'll have a problem. Fill in your cores with a combination of CH3, copper oxide, and CO2. That you create the plasmatic gravitational gradient that allows the flotation and the rotation of the plasma inside the coil. You do not need motors to create rotation. Then, one thing you have to do to achieve the interaction is what will happen is that this system, stand back, can I move your box somewhere? You got to understand now how the whole thing comes into operation. Because you're using 3 layers of GANs in this, fill it up. Try to extract as much liquid as you can, water out of the circle. See what's going to happen to you. You will create a hexagonal field in all your reactors. If you understand it, you create the walls of your elusive crystal. You feed plasma through single crystal, monoenergetic. Try to choose the same materials, slightly different weight in your system. In your cores, if you feed in, for example, 1 measure of CO2, 2 measure of copper oxide, and 1 measure of CH3, in the other one, change the combination. Do 2 of the other, 1 of the other, and maybe 3 of the other. Because you need the gradient change that allows the rotation of the fields in this manner. So, for the first time, you will understand how universe works without any motors. Variation in a gradient allows and creates motion in a physical dimension. I was talking to Vince yesterday, or to somebody, I think it was Vince, or somebody I was explaining. One of our Dutch knowledge seekers has put a copper plate, nano-coated, and a zinc plate, trying to create a CO2. And by accident, walking with a torch, he sees the rotation of the plasma in the amino acid level. Just on the surface, you see a full ring floating. Go on the YouTube and look what is done. So what it means, these fields are continuously rotating, but in a hexagonal shape. In a way, from wedge to wedge, they create a rotation of the fields in the center core in a spherical condition of the center of your crystal plasma. Remember, when even you're making your coils, in setting up your coils, all of you, most of you, what you've done, more or less all of you have done, is you GaNs coated your cores with the same GaNs for all three. Where what you should have done, or what you should do, every layer of the GaNs has to be creating a gradient of flow. Remember the principle of the plasmatic interaction, which we saw with Brian Douglas. How the fields in his box moved. He had a heavy mixture of GaNs, he had a CO2 or copper oxide, and he had CH3. In fact, what you get, you have to nano coat, in a way you have to GaNs coat, or you can even create coils of different elements to create the more powerful, to give its energy up to the weaker, and now you have a bullet. You saw the bubbles with Douglas's system floating up and coming down. So a system which is pre-planned and designed perfectly is ready for flight. When you make your stacker units to achieve to be in the position of the free plasma, then you understand your wish is your command. Because in all the systems, you have allowed a mixture of CO2 which is connected to your emotion. If peace is your condition, you will achieve peace. You make all these GaNs coated with CO2. If flight is your condition, your desire in having it and understanding that now you have created a bullet, you created a diversion on a bullet, because now if you put as your second stacker here, this was your first stacker, and now you repeat or make a diversion, or if you can design it well, that your free plasma sits somewhere here, then you can see how the bullet, how powerful it becomes. This brings you still to half matter state, half plasma state, but at least for the first time it brings humanity into the condition to be able to create a craft entity which he wants without matter. A plasmatic condition where once you produce these fields around your system, now gives you the possibility of the creation of the system the way you have seen in the universal condition. Alex has put a system here which the interaction of the fields have allowed it to create oil. On the other side, you decide to put another condition. You create water. He says he thinks his water level in one of the containers has moved up. Is there a problem? Air conditioning. Oh, maybe we managed to create a crystal matter. Matters are flying in. Look, it's not a joke. Look. We are getting materials falling on our head. There we are. It is real, look. It's just blowing out, and only on top of the air conditioning. I think we switched the air conditioning, got the switch off on the back panel. Yeah. So very interesting. At the time of creating matter, it just blows down off the sky. I think God is trying to talk to us. So what you see, in fact, again, as we said, now you have the creation of condition of the water. In so many ways, we have reached the pinnacle of the conversion of plasma into the matter state, into the wish of what we want, into how we see the production of energy, conversion of the energy, understanding of the conversion of the plasma energy into the matter state as we need. There is a question mark with what Alex has done. And we know in the next few days, he's testing it now. As one of the masters of the of Keshe Foundation, as I call him Mr. Professor, because he prophesizes his wish, and his wish comes reality, is that now we are testing something very interesting. The way Alex has worked is that he has positioned an orange in a certain position in the system, that we saw the reduction in production of the oil on the system. We're testing again. Have we transferred the oil of the orange? Have we made a gravitational magnetic field equal to the oil of orange? Once we extracted all the oil, the production stops. So we are replacing the orange with a new orange with this new fresh oil. So if we achieve oil transfer again, we have managed to do a transportation of matter using fields only. You saw this in transformation of energy of the orange to have a taste. If this test confirms to us correct, which Alex is working on, hopefully he can tell us. Alex, are you online? Or he's still asleep, he works till late. You will see that for the first time, we have managed to take the oil within the orange and transfer it on the skin of the container outside. It's a collective oil. You can literally touch it, you wipe it, your hand is all oily. And we are collecting it. It's not a feeling. We are physically, but the problem is, as Alex says, the room, it just smells of orange. When you come in, you can feel it. It's like somebody has peeled an orange, has released the essence of the oil of the orange in his oil. And it's very simple the way he's done it. As I told you, we have a few masters in this teachings, and more of you will come up to the surface. And it's the way the innovation is becoming part of the reality of the process. And we've seen it now. Have we managed to transfer the oil of the orange from the orange into a different position? Then have we managed to achieve transmutation of elements through plasma? This was the promise of Baha'u'llah. When man can achieve the transmutation of elements, not only we have taken the oil from the orange, we have manifested it in another position exactly the same. We repeat it, we let you know. In time, we release you the technology, the way it's done, that you can replicate it, but we have to make sure what we see, what we have, it can be replicated. So in that process, not only you have achieved plasma conditioned motion, you have achieved everything without relying on any electronic or electrical system. Creation of the motion by intention. So because you have placed CO2 gas in all these structures, you are connected and you have connected the system through creating the CO2 with a zinc plate to your emotion. Zinc in the body of the man is a connection with his emotion, which carries the energy through his understanding of the physicality without tangibility. So, in fact, when you achieve such a position, what is the problem? I'm disappearing. You need to move a little bit towards me because the side of the screen is not fully in. So what we achieved, we can confirm it, and some of you have done different version of these, is transmutation without the loss. Up to now, every time man tried to transmute, left parts aside, could not understand it, but with this way, using the system, and I have to tell you one thing, the system, the power units are used for this technology. One of the power units which you received as you purchased is used for this purpose. It's not something outside it. So the crystal condition of the maggra power unit is the center of this structure. The plasma system, the maggra system, sits in the center of this setting. And if you remember, you used the orange on the top. This is your maggraph system if you look at it. Here we have placed the orange on top of the maggraph system. But we allow the separate condition to manifest the oil. So we have managed to do what we wished, and this was to confirm the condition. Your wish is your command, and you can create what we said in a matter of placing a condition of another material on this side. I'll try to rub this off that you can understand it. By placing a system here, all we done, we transferred the energy of the system. It's not that the oil of orange has moved this way. The oil of orange has moved this way. And then, because we created a condition like the orange itself there, is getting deposited. Transmutation of elements, transmutation of the essence of the element, the flavor, the matter, the emotion, everything is in there. You enter the room, you smell the orange. Don't forget, this is not the first time we've seen this. Lisa from the Chinese units, which sent for His Excellency President Xi to China, informed us a few weeks ago. The Chinese scientists, when enter the room, they feel happy. They call it the happy room where the unit is. Because it carries the emotion of peace. It was taken by the delegation for starting a peace process in China as the only world leader as a nation. We don't accept the United States as a world leader. The most bankrupt nation cannot be the most leader. The richest, the most peaceful nation, which is a Chinese nation, has received it because their target is achieving peace. So they achieve peace. Ah, there is our mascot. Where is your bus, Baba? You want to come? How did you get up? How did you manage to get through? Can I give him to you? because otherwise he's our mascot. He goes everywhere. Very peaceful animal. Thank you. So, where do we go? He's ahead of you. He's here. He was scratching. He wants to come in for his job. Ah. So, you understand where and how the technology has come through. You were waiting for a power unit. You were waiting for seeing you get energy. You have all the energy in the system we're giving you. It's you who has to consider and position the reactor the way it is. Put these maglev system in the center of your house and walk around it. You absorb whatever you need. Put 2 or 3 maglev system around the house that you feed your energy equal. Put one in the center that everything is in balance. I have given you the knowledge of the universe. It's for you to understand the limitation according to your intention. You'll find out if you wish bad, you get nowhere because the system will not take according to the law of physics of the universe. Your intention is peace, you find peace at home. You got an angry dog in the house, put your system and see if the dog changes. You have children with emotional problem, place them in the house. See if they find peace, and you find peace in the house. Because they take what they need, and being part of the structure of the house being in balance, they find their balance. See if you feel like eating. We are getting reports from our manufacturing side that people who accidentally come in touch with the gas in production or with the nanomaterial, they don't want to eat anymore. They're full. They don't feel hungry. They become peaceful. Don't forget, we are in a change position of humanity, but I had to bring the whole thing forward because a number of you are touching and knocking on the door of the universal knowledge, but you don't understand what you see. It creates you doubts. So the power units you received is the promise I made you. I have given you everything. It's for you to decipher the knowledge, and don't forget, every structure stays in balance within the field of the matter entity. Just because you can, if any of you have access to United Nations building, please, 4 or 5 of you, take 4 units to the building of United Nations in New York. Ask them to put 1 on the roof and 3 in the basement of the building, and we will see if your intention was peace, the structure of the United Nations will change. If you live in a military zone, place your reactors around in the same position. Walk into the NATO office, let them test the units in Brussels, near the airport, and say, we put a unit on the top and 3, 4 floors below on the nuclear bunkers of the NATO headquarters. See if NATO will make any more decisions about war. Now, we don't challenge what we set to change. We set to change the course of humanity through the understanding of the work of the plasma and not through guns and bullets. Make as many as this system. The way I explained this morning, my promise of you that you achieve peace in the next few weeks will be completed, because now it's in your hand and none in mine. As I said, I delivered my message, and my message is more and more getting completed the more you understand the working of the system. I brought you through the full cycle. And now, in so many ways, it's you who decides how you use the plasma of the universe. You want it in a nano state, you want it in a matter state, you want it to transfer from one to another, you have the full knowledge. As I said, the knowledge of the creator has never been dispersed in such a rapid way, in such a short time, to one race. And now you have it. You received it. It's you who got to decide and create the conditions in what you expect and what you want to do. There are the tools of measurement and how you measure what is strength. I explained this, if you go back on the teachings, which was explained yesterday with Rick's workshops. I just happened to go in and there was a question I answered in the teaching. Rick, can you put the link up that people can listen to that teaching, which was yesterday with your workshop? That in the part where we explain about the rotation of the plasma. Are you there?
Yeah, I have to still,
Edit it.
well, I have to put it up on the site again. It didn't upload on the live stream properly yet. It should be on there now. Let me just check that first. I'll get back to you in a minute here.
Okay, while you do, I'll give you, instead of you going there, I'll explain to you something which is important and which I think a lot of you have missed, or at least if you haven't missed, we add to the knowledge. If you look at all the teachings we've done and what you have and what we thought this morning in respect to motion of the plasma, all of you in all the processes of teaching have missed a very important connection, a very important interaction. You made the stackers. The stacker is like a plasma, it's like a sun, it's like the earth. In this plasma condition, as we explained, you created a rotational plasma. But one thing you have forgotten, I just touched it. I just played with it. Because you have created a three-layer condition interaction, you have created a second rotation. The creation of the motion of the plasma does not come from the directional polarity of the field, but comes from the interaction of the polarity with the plate, what I call the equator motion. You have a plasma which is moving this way, and you have a plasma which is moving this way. And interaction of the two plasma in reduction in strength creates the motion of the plasma, the tangibility of the plasma, and that's why all the plasmas, Earth, proton, sun, the solar system, the universe, have a rotation. Because the energy of the two field forces leads to the creation of the motion through the rapid the gradient change of what are called the ingredient plasma within the structure of the both. Because the pink color and the blue color is not mono, is mixture. And in that mixture, a number of different strengths. If you go to the highest here to the lowest, interact with the highest and the lowest. And the interaction of the two field forces leads to creation of the motion of the rotation of the plasma. Maybe for the first time, man understands why everything is spherical. Maybe for the first time, man understands why plasma is in motion. This is the part which in the teaching and understanding this interaction, you will understand why you will create and you will have a boundary, physical boundary on the craft, which is your wish. Because here you have created it. You have created both polarity motion and at the same time equatorial motion. And then you see the product of the interaction. In having the three base cores, forces flatness. That's why your, what you call, spaceship will have more or less a flat bottom. Is the indication and the field forces of the plasma which dictates to you a spherical top, flat bottom. Because on the top, you created a position of singularity. On the bottom, you created the plating. That's why your skin is not all bumpy and is flat. So now you understand how the structure of all the teaching come together. If you sit down, work as groups, don't work as individuals anymore. Don't work one man in a garage. Internet is open. Change, send each other material, work as one team, one nation, one planet, and build the system. If you made coils and you could afford all the coils with firing, send it to somebody else. You haven't lost it. You linked up with the humanity. You linked up with your wish of peace or departure from this, what I call planet, village life of this earth. If you have worked and made the cores, but you couldn't make the coils, come together. Work as teams, irrespective of nation, borders, what the man has made, and build your own first spaceship system. So it's not you, but sit down collectively and calculate everything. Because the calculation of what you do will lead to what you will receive. Would you receive, how you will structure it, what materials you want where in your craft, because now you decide what you're going to do. I have brought you into the position that any nation which has the financial capability of certain amount of copper, you all have joined the universal community of the spaceship program as one nation, one planet, one universal community. Because now you can produce everything you need. And you had the taste and the test of it every little bit by little bit in the past months. Understand how you have not looked in the totality and now you have everything on the table. What about if some of you go a step further? What about if instead of the cores you place stacker units as part of your star formation? What about if you allow a fourth reactor and a fifth reactor to take position of your free plasma? You had your base. Do you need where and how? As I told you, in a flash of a light, if you get it right, you will create your piece because this free plasma will open up. man has reached the point of maturity. Now you have to work collectively because there is a very big problem. And I explained to you where the problem sits. It's the solution, but the problem is very interesting. If you manage to create such a strength system and you manage to achieve a number of them, the earth shall become a peaceful place. Because your fields all will connect up. Is inherent in the structure of the plasmatic magnetic field to link up. And this is what I told you a long time ago. If you create this green belt, what we call green being a sign of peace, sign of tranquility, and you manage to create this condition, you do not cover the humanity, but through the same amino acid link, any entity within the structure of this planet will live a peaceful life. The fish will not eat another fish. The lion will not eat another animal because the fields of the plasma gives them what they need and the aggression of this planet will come to an end. This is your job. You have all the tools now, more or less. There is, as always, a little bit left, but at least it's a point to start first. The creation of the spaceship, the creation of the peace on this planet, and the completion of the promise of Christ. As I said, as a messenger of God, we have completed our promise. It's you who decide to kill, do what is done for centuries, or it's you who decide to create the environment of peace for mankind. Because now you cannot blame no one except yourself. You had the tools, there is no government, nobody controls your kitchen, and nobody sits in your garage. You do not need massive research centers. You need to pull the coppers out of the wall, the coppers out of the bullets, and convert them into simple systems. I am the Messiah and I deliver my message. It's for you to carry it out. People made with Christ the mistake and he took their word the wrong way to fit their own pocket, and we've seen the establishment of all the problems of the humanity today because people took what is suited them to complete not what was the message of the Christ, and we see the crisis of today because of Christ. On the front, message of peace, all the Christianity being peaceful, but making the tools of war for the others to kill each other. Let's stop the production of tools of war by simply making tools of peace in the kitchen. It's us who puts these governments in position to create war. It's us who receives the paved roads and the hospitals on the back of the killing of the others, where the finances and the labor has become to be deposited in the advanced nations, what are called the murdering machines of the rest. So in your kitchens, you can change the course. And if you understand it, you need no government to tell you. It's your conscience, it's your soul, and if your wish is there, collectively working together, you can achieve it. I always give you an indication. I always give you a path to find a solution, but it's for you to find a path, not for me to give you the solution. Because this way, different people come up with different solutions that collectively refine one solution for the whole lot. You have every reason, you have every time. It's festive time. It's the time of the birth of Christ. Celebrate his birth by going to your kitchens, pulling out the old wires, and build what I call the spaceship of peace. And maybe on Christmas Day, put the core on your table. It will be much better than a Christmas tree. You do not take life to put it in there to represent the green. Why do you destroy a tree where you can add to the essence of the creation? Build a peace tree. Build a reactor core in the next 2-3 weeks the way you've seen. Doesn't need no motors, doesn't need no engines, doesn't need no energy system, but the energy of the plasma. Maybe it's time to celebrate the birth of Christ the correct way. Building these systems doesn't cost any money. To build a peace system, it should not take $2. You don't have copper, use chicken wire. I was discussing this with the innovation people this morning. Don't get entangled, and it has to be copper. You have chicken wire, use chicken wire. You can make your coils out of chicken wire. Then you become dependent on the physical part of the entity of this planet. Then you become only dependent on the blood structure of this planet. Because iron connects man with the physicality of the amino acid through hemoglobin, which is connected to the iron. If you understand this, if you want to create meat, you make a system which in its structure has an iron core. One of your coils, if is made of iron or partially made of iron nano-coated, you will create meat. You will create blood. We've seen the creation of blood in the CO2 systems where the connection has touched iron. So you know which way to go. Is your structure plankton based or is your structure red cell blood based? Why do we produce planktons? Why do we produce single cells with no blood but still life? Why do we have animals who can live on a protein of the green, and we have animals which only live on the protein of red? Now that you have seen how you can make the oil and the essence and the rest, what is the next step? Is a mass production or satisfaction of sexuality part of the problem of the humanity? Do we need to be individually orientated or collectively on one target? This way, if you understood the structure, this way, if you understand the interaction of the fields, for the first time, you are not dependent on any electrical powered, electronically controlled system. Because while you're inside the structure, you are connected through the structure to every element, and with it, you control the fields of them. If you understand how you can change the course, if you understand how you can execute a proper way your wishes and it's peaceful, you will achieve it. In the coming weeks, we announced the establishment of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute as an international organization in collaboration with a number of space agencies around the world. And to bring them in a point of understanding, this technology you see on the screen will be used. We deliver technology on the basis of a new science of plasma to all the space agencies that leaves one course, and one course which is the Peaceway. Keshe Foundation in the next few weeks will announce as Keshe Foundation International in amalgamation with a number of the space agencies around the world. Because there is no other option, and in so many ways, the physical system of motion has failed the man. We have spent nearly approximately 70 years. We have developed to the maximum physical matter condition, and we haven't managed to sustain life independent of the Earth anywhere at this moment in the universe. So we have, and we set up the course of peace, but now we can show man anywhere can produce a system to save his own life or feed himself. No need for the handouts to support the physical existence. A man, you just need to find yourself something which you can nano-coat, coil it that you can amalgamate all this energy and convert it into plasma. And then collectively layer the plasmas, then you achieve interactions, and through interaction, as nothing in the universe is perfectly the same, you don't find two flakes of snow the same, you cannot, there is no possibility, absolutely zero chance that every stacker unit you made will have exactly the same field strength. Impossibility. So for that reason, you will create a motion. It's impossible. It's just now knowing that this is the impossibility, try to dictate the strength at least which way it will be. You have your own body as the example. Your amino acid is not violently separate strength. Carbon of 12, nitrogen of 14, oxygen of 16. Very, very subtle motion. But you add a weaker, which is a hydrogen on the top, you create the stability of solidity of the structure with a continuous motion of the plasma, which comes from interaction with the hydrogen. Remember this when you build your system. Remember the totality of all the teachings. Create a structure which is different, but near enough the same, but create a structure that, remember, now you have a strong field here, needs the push-up. And then, in that process, in achieving your free plasma, in the transportation of the top, you create your spaceship. The field just opens up. It has no choice. It's the interaction of the strong with the hexagonal dimensions of the top stacker. It creates a position. If you look at here, you have your stacker field in a hexagon coming from the top, in interfacing with the field, it'll split open. It's a flash of light. And then if you can keep your emotion in control, that this is what I wanted, I achieved peace through my own intentions, by creating the structure which brings peace, you will see what is in your dream, what you call the spaceship. And a lot of you carry the knowledge. Work collectively, work across this planet to build these, and don't look for crystals. I looked at a lot of Facebook entries this week. People showing their crystals, putting crystals in the coils and putting everything else. And I said to myself, when are these going to help? I keep on speaking last week in all the teachings, we keep on repeating that 3 gravitational magnetic fields of the plasmatic condition leads to physicality of the tangibility. This is what we thought from the beginning in the health teachings, when with Dr. Kostova, we studied the layer of the skin of the man, the layer of intestine of the man, the layer of the bones of the man. Everywhere where you have tangibility or a shield field effect, you have 3. And he kept on missing it. Now you see the same. Again, you have to realize something which you most probably have forgotten, but we touched it before, is you still look at this, but this reactor, and this reactor create their own phase. So there is a flow of the field here. There is a flow of the field here. There is a flow of the field in the 3rd dimension in the back. The tangibility, once you make this system, is absolutely total physical. You feel, you enter, your body is part of it. You enter space, which you call it the spaceship. The only thing you need to do now is to understand how to control both the gravitational magnetic field flow, which is upwards, and the radial rotation. Up to now, the system, all the teachings around the world has been anti-gravity levitation, but no one has ever considered the radial rotation. If you can control the radial rotation, if you can control the gravitational magnetic field, you have the physical tangibility, and now you can control the flight position, the flight direction, without any system control. Hopefully, with the help of the professors from Sofia University, in the next term, we will show how this is done. This should be here in end of January. You see non-tangible system control of the plasma. This is their specialty. They'll be teaching here, and you'll see how much you can understand more in the depth of the control of the plasma through emotion and thought, but controlling it to become physical, tangible damage. Are there any questions?
Certainly we have some questions here, Mr. Kesh. Just a second while we get Ali also has a video that he wanted to show, apparently, that that you wanted to have shown.
Do you want me to open the screen?
Well, let me get Ali in here first. I'll promote him to panelist. There's quite a few people that have questions about whether the stacker unit needs to have power to it, or like does it need to be plugged in the middle of the star formation, and if so, what load, or is it self?
Our stacker unit, the stacker unit which is supplied to you as a maglev unit for the purpose which is set up, yes, if you want energy out of it. If you got the maglev units and you build your own maglev units and you have plugged them in or you haven't plugged them in, and you can create a diversion of the plasma of the fields, it will create what you need. You don't need to connect. Let me explain to you something very interesting. Maybe this is what I wanted to teach you and I forgot. It's important for you to understand. This is very important. Please listen very carefully to all of you who are building these maglev systems. As part of the control for you to start learning how to produce materials and how to produce conditions, step back and go back to the teachings of last week in what we explained about the work of the plasma. All of you made the units, and I've seen even today in the present time, some of you are still connecting it and putting a meter and you say we don't see anything. I've seen on the internet that we said this is your grid where you take your meter from. You connect it to your system and you add a load after it. I've seen some people trying to, again, ridicule the technology or their own lack of understanding. What they do, they put a meter here and they put something here and it says only 5 or 6%. But what they don't understand, again, through the lack of understanding, did you take everything in the house off? Because this is a plug in the room you're testing. What about the fridge, the freezer, the child's computer, your heater or whatever, which is beyond it? You see 5 or 6% reduction. These are still working on a power which is coming from the unit. You look at the totality. What you get reduction there, not what meter you put in there. Because they are pulling their shares. You're working in the plasma, not electric current. So those of you who put a meter and put one of our maglevs on the system with a fan and then things on the same table, you still haven't understood. So I have to teach you, have you disconnected the rest of the house? Because they are pulling. But you understand, as we said, is 30%, 33% reduction in your system. Where does the rest go? Because, as I explained last week and in other teachings, how come we're at the bottom of the page? Oh, we've gone the Irish way, back to front. So, what happened to your other 66%? Most of your nations, if we call this A, the wiring is connected on the 3-phase. In the manufacturing meetings on Friday, this was explained, so at least you know as well. As I said here, in your unit, you put your meter there and you see a little bit of reduction here. You don't see the rest. Due to the property of the power generation at the moment through 3-phase, you have your A feeding 33%. But because everything is connected to each other through your own system, this is taking 33% and this is taking 33%. In totality, if you move your meter to the grid point at the distribution point of the 3 phases, you will find Your government has a very good news. Their power supply has reduced, but they're still charging you full whack for your energy because they are pulling on the other 66%, which is not available to you. So if you saved 10 euro here, your power station has saved 20 euro. This is why you see 33. One of the American manufacturers online said in America we use two of the phases. If you put two units on each phase, would we see 66% reduction on the meter? Most probably yes. You are thinking in a matter state, but the system works in a plasma state. The system works the way understand the 129 system. The 129 came when the two weaker gas plasma systems called upon it to supply because it's trying to bring it back into balance with itself to be equal. That's why it feeds it. So in a 130 system, you have phase differences. Phase in 120 degrees separation. So at this point, this is the reduction which you receive. By the time it comes to the next phase, the next system takes the energy here, and then when the next phase comes, the energy is taken here. In fact, the completed system creates 100% reduction in the fuel. But you're only taking a third of it due to the present structure. It's important for you to understand where the rest is going and how your system works. Now, what is for you to understand, to take it a step further, is let's extend the knowledge. Let's take this condition up. Let's go and see what is the next step with this condition. You saw in the system that if you put 1 kilowatt here, you reduced the energy consumption by around 2 to 3 kilowatts here. You understood one thing. You should have understood one thing. Now you have a control system in your hand. This is the control system which shows, in fact, if you understood, by changing the power at the end, opposite to your understanding of the present time, you dictate the control in the back end or the entering end. If you haven't seen the beauty of this, let's say with 20 watts in the stacker unit you set up here, you produce oil here. When you change this to 30 watts, you produce bread here. You change this to 40 watts, you produce meat here. So you use your backload to control in your system what you control, what you develop, what you produce. If we go back to, hey, where are you? Let's go back. Why are we going back? I want to go to the previous page we're writing. Pardon? I went sideways. Yes! I forgot about this. Thank you very much. That's why we're going. So we're going the right. We go back up then. We don't use the full board. There's still a lot to learn. So now I can go this way. What I want to do, I wanted to go here. what we saw here with the production of the oil, because you put different systems around. As I said, you put your power unit and your different systems around. Now the feedback changes the field inside your system. So you can change this from producing orange juice to becoming producing water, where this one produces something else, and this produces something else, and you change the load, and now this starts producing apple juice, this does something else, and this does something else. So now you have learned a process of a control, at least partially. You can test and learn how to use this, what was in your hand. So by changing small variation here, you got to see not the power reduction which you are used to in setting up your system through one of the stacker units of your structure, how you create different materials from different reactors. This goes back to the original teaching where I told you, if you do in a star formation, you decide what you produce in your craft. This way, you don't move, but you change the strength in the plasma. So your load end becomes your control end for what you produce at a higher power inside. This allows what we call system control. Excuse me. How we control the system through a very simple control system by weight. Would we able to put what we call these electronic systems, which is a bar load, and we just move the bar load to a higher weight, higher load, and by it we get different material in the background. What do you call them? What's the electric terminology for it? Potential meters. Marco built the first one of these we showed at the end of last term on a stacker system we showed. We made a potential meter where we could change the gravitational or magnetical. When you make these controls here, do what Marco showed in the system we made last term we showed, where you create a coil of the gravitational and a coil of magnetical, and you change your dial. Now, with changing this dial, putting it as a load, you decide what you produced before. Because now you decide you produce a higher gravity oxygen, you go to carbon, you go to isotopes of it, because you can change anything in any direction. So your potential meters become the controller of what you like, but you have to build two of them and connect it the way you have connected your magnetical gravitational system tray. If you remember, I explained to you, and we said last time, build a single set, not a stacker tree. Your single set can be used as the controller. That's why we explained to you to do this. If you remember, we showed it in the teaching of last week, what we call cascading. This was your meter, that was your wire, you had one stacker unit of 3, we connected it, it was single stacker, it was here on this table. You can use the condition of the second stacker as a control in what you produce here. I have to move back for the computer to reset. So you can control, you want to create hydrogen, you want to create isotopes of carbon, all you need is to change slightly the gravitational magnetic field. If you want to keep the same gravitational magnetic field slightly and increase the gravitational, then you can produce isotopes of the same material but different weights. Or you can create isotopes of material of different strength, because now you dictate both sides of it. You create the magnetical or gravitational. The knowledge, if you go back and understand the totality of what we thought, is more or less complete. You have the way to produce it. You do not need to rely on the matter state. You use the matter state. But the next step in the coming teachings is how you can create the plasma, the gradient, without your physical cover. This comes through the teaching which we are doing on the private section of what I call the teachings of the third semester, which is next month, in how you can produce what has been with you, the stacker unit, without any matter state, through the control of the emotion of the man, in what now the knowledge seekers at this level on the second session, or what you call second term, have understood, where you produce station of these reactors in the field strength according to your emotion. If it's very hard to understand, it's very much where you feel cold, but you're still laughing, and there is a nail in your toe. You have all three emotions at the same time. This is how you have to understand how to separate the three emotions, that you create the three stacker. Then, if it's again, you can understand, you to build, let's say, the reactor core number 1, you're cold, but you're laughing, and you have a nail in your foot. For reactor number 2, you go to the emotion of you're boiling, you're still laughing, you got a nail in your foot. So it's a different emotion, creates different rotation. And then the same with the others and the others. Because now, if you understood the whole technology, you replace this with yourself. You become the controller. You decide the change of the energy in the stack. In so many ways, there is a lot to learn. But in so many ways, you have to be ready to understand it. You got to understand the totality of the composition of the structure. In the rotating cores, you show the ability, the creation of the plasma. The transparent cores showed you the existence of a powerful center within the center of the core. But it became, you call it a vacuum, there is nothing there, but it's the most powerful part, where it's very much, it's like this magnet. The most powerful part of this magnet is not in the fields you feel, is what is in the center. It looks empty, but that's the most powerful. Once the man can measure this, you will see how much power is coming from the matter state, because now it's restricted to the matter state. But here is to the state of the free air. And if you can create vacuum in the center of it, it's the most powerful section, because then it has no friction. If you look, you have created the same thing in your coils. But the center now stacks up in a different way. You got to realize that to be able to achieve the ultimate goal, You should understand all the teachings from the beginning, comprehend it, and implement it the way it was set, not the way you wanted. You all went and brought your crystals out. It's good, but you already had a plasmatic crystal in your hand when you made your coils. In so many ways, open your eyes and look in the total structure of the universe, and then you can produce whatever you need. Because every star is created out of a unique condition. So there are so many unique conditions, and never is the same measure. So you can produce as many different type of spaceships, materials, according to your wish. Any other question?
We've got a few questions here. I'm wondering if we should attend to Ali and his video now.
Okay. No
Okay,
problem.
we can do that and then get back to some questions. We can have a look at Ali's video and then get back to some questions perhaps. Ali,
Yes.
are you there and ready to show?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear him, Mr. Kesh?
Yes, we are here.
Oh, excellent. So I'll share my screen here. I think that would be better. This is what I was been working yesterday on, and
Just wait, please. We got to share the screen. Okay.
so this is the Magrav unit, and I separated the stacks. The wiring are exactly the same as before, and in the middle I put this reactor, and it's a ping pong ball filled with GaNs and connected to a fan, which connects to a 12-volt power. And the power itself is connected to the Magrav unit, so everything is in the plasma state. And for some reason, I had a feeling that I had to put this coil, a circular coil, around this star formation. So I wanted to get your insight to better understand if I understand that you said it's better not to put a rotating. We don't need rotation. To get your insight, Mr. Kish, of how we can use this system better, or what can it be used for, because it was made by intuition, kind of.
I think what will be better, you can test, is to move the blue plates further out.
Okay.
That the center coil, the orange one, can sit on the same level. But then you have to see if you measure the fields, you can measure any field difference. The putting of a battery in the position not to rotate, but to be there as a source of energy gradient is a good idea. But what you should do in most probably is, in you putting that coil ring around it, expand the coil that it doesn't touch the plate, the blue plates. Just
Okay.
add another pieces to it to expand it, and then switch the light or put a camera to watch this, photoshoot it every few hours, and you see what you will see. What fields, if you see any field difference, or you'll see any what I call shimmers.
Okay.
The problem, or it's not a problem, you're on a one plane structure. You still need to lift the fields up to become a three-dimensional. You still need another stacker unit somewhere in the middle, or where you put the orange system, make another tray and lift another tray to the top.
Okay.
Then we'll see what you can get. but you should see effects. You don't look for motion. The motion is inside the field. In positioning the plate in different positions, should give you different strength and different, what they call visualization, or at least feel of it. Put your hand inside, see what you feel in that environment.
Okay. And in the middle, should I put another 3-stacker beneath the
Why you ask? Use your intellect, you'll see what you want.
Okay, okay.
Put it there and sit and wish and put your emotion into it.
Got it.
You see, at the moment, you are still in a matter state. You haven't created a plasma state.
Okay.
In fact, if you put your 3 blue stackers on top of just one, and then you need 9 of them, so 3 of them in the base, which is 9 cores, and then you need 1 in the middle, 1 on the top, and 1 on top of it. In fact, if I show it to you, you need something like this.
Okay, let me stop sharing. And,
yeah, I'll try to go on the screen. If you can see it here, this is your, do we see it? This is your first unit, which is your physical dimension, and then you put another stacker on top of it. You have your base course here in a way of, if you look at the stacker is 3-dimensional. You're already preset the corners, so this is where your 120 degrees should sit in creating motion. The third one is somewhere here. The field of these 2 on the base, or the 3 on the base, will create a field here. The field on the top creates a field here. And then this is where your free plasma sits somewhere. You should see a structure of what you want. Let me explain to you something very interesting. Don't go for these heavy coil complicated structures which you have. Don't go for these, what I call, this one. I'm waiting. Once again. Okay. Thank you. So don't go for these, especially for beginners and going through finding these heavy copper coils, copper wires. Go to copper gauge 22, 24. These thin wires. Start playing with these very thin wires you can buy, or you can strip from the computer lines. Don't get carried away to see very powerful. Test it. These are very easy to make immediately. You can make many cores, test many things, and then expand on the knowledge than going through these heavy, expensive, what they call M14s, which we use. Understand, we've seen it with Renan. He uses like M16 or M18 in his medical health pens, and it still gets the same effect. Yeah, you can still coil it. I've shown this before. These are all M18, M20s. All you need, you just make it, insert it, and test with the little ones. Don't make these huge stackers. The stackers was built for a purpose, but you can make your systems very nicely. There is something which I have to tell you right away. We are testing. I explained this morning to Innovation Center, and I would like some of you to test and respond back to us. In the process of producing these power units, there is a fundamental flaw, but a fundamental flaw is not that your system doesn't work. Fundamental flaw in the process of understanding of the process of the plasma. Where the flaw is, or it's not a flaw, it's something which we can test and add to. It's not a mistake. We still work, we still see. Is very interesting proposition I explained today, but instead of just us doing, let us all do it. We brought the power from the grid, as is in the blueprint, and we put, sorry about that, I deliberately put it there for you not to see. And we put the capacitors to buffer the alternative power. Then I have to write, remind me to speak about the medical aspects of the technology when I finish with this. Then we brought the stacker units in and we connected the system across to the load, or we connected to the gravitational. We took from magnetical, we connected to the load. Somewhere here, we placed a bunch of capacitors for increasing the power. There is something here which is not normal. This is perfect in a matter state. But if we work in a plasma state, there is a slightly bit which can be added for the system to be more realistic in a plasma condition. If you look at this and we bring into, let's say, the Earth condition, we are bringing the fields in and we're getting the fields out. But as we know, what is the feedback? What happened to gravitational magnetic feedback? We are draining the system. We are not sustaining the system. And in the lower plasma, we have to sustain the system. There is a possibility how we can do it. The way we see it, and I would like a lot of you to test, is to put a split capacitor here and to put a split capacitor. I have to explain this here that you understand it better. Let's use blue, or let's go see what other color we have. Use yellow. Here we connected to gravitational in the coil, and then we connected to the second gravitation of the coil, and then we went into the magnetical. And we took from the magnetical and we connected up. So if this is the connection, this is a magnetical connection. What you got to do in this structure somewhere here, there is a point which is missing. And this point has to be this. What about at this point here, we put another split capacitor and then feed it to here, where this split capacitor feeds from one half to the magnetical, and from the other half feeds back to the gravitational point. Conservation of the fields, as we give both, but we preserve. This, when you put here a split capacitor, when you put it here, one split capacitor should go back into just at the point of the gravitational tube, after the gravitational, which feeds back to the magnetical, and the other part goes to the loads. There is a need for this, and it has to be added into it. That's why the power systems do not repetitively decrease power. Maybe if you understood this and you can do it with all three rings individually as you make it each plate, then most probably you achieve between 30 to 50 times more power in the back than the front. Because if you do this capacitor positioning between each magnetical connection, you repeat. Let me explain this because it looks a bit complicated, but it's very simple. Let's look at the first coil, first tray. This is your inner coil. This is your outer coil. I saw a beautiful presentation yesterday with Eric's teaching classes. He's a brilliant guy, a technical drawer in US, in Los Angeles, called Robert. And he understood the thing very nicely, and the way he's represented it is that when you made the coil, you connected the magnetic gravitation of this one to this one, and then when it came out, you connected the gravitation of this one to this one. So at this point of when you come out of the gravitational to go to the magnetical of the first coil, you need to place a split capacitor where partially feeds back to this point and partially feeds back to the, here it feeds back to gravitational, here it feeds back to the magnetical. And then you should do the same at the point of the exit of the magnetical of the second one. You need a split capacitor which goes to the next plate of the stacker, and the other split capacitor feeds back at the point of the first magnetical. So what you do, you feed back your gravitational feed into the gravitation, and the surplus goes to magnetical. And in a magnetical, you feed some of it out, but you feed back to support your magnetical from the beginning. You don't drain the system. And as you drain the system, you create a more powerful compact condition. Maybe we go into, I'll redraw this in a different way. If we take this as magnetical center and this as the gravitational center, we take this as a magnetical of the outer ring, and we take this as a gravitational of the outer ring. We connected the magnetical gravitational end to here, and then we connected in the process, blue, green I've used, let's see what we have here, do the orange. Then what we did, we connected, no, we already have the orange. Let's use purple. So we connected this back to the magnetical, and then from the magnetical we fed, what color can I use? Very little. Okay, let's use black. So we fed out into the load. So in fact, if we look, these two are the entry and exit. This is your gravitational entry, and this is your magnetical exit. Here, there is a support can be set in, a system can be added. We are draining the total gravitational into the magnetical, and we are feeding all the magnetical out to the next plate or to the load. What we need to do essentially is to give part of and don't give all of. Because what we give as part of and not all of what we store is available to intrigue and ignite or trigger the plasma to work more effectively. So what we need to do is to place a split capacitor here. And what we need to do is to place a split capacitor here. The split capacitors is what I call with Innovation Center is that we bring the first center, the main center line, the center of the center core or the negative, but on the outside, we don't connect one coil all the way along. We make a long, about, let's say, 5 centimeter, and we set up two coils. And this coil is what you feed back, and this coil what goes forward. So here we have the split capacitors, where on these split capacitors we need to short of colors. We need to here, if you look at it, I have to take this out, but it doesn't give you the, I need this. I have to take this out as a split capacitor there. I have to take this out as a split capacitor. But you know, here you have, let's take this out too, then it stops the confusion. So you go into the center there, and then what you do, you put a coil and you split, go out, and you put another coil here, and you go to the beginning of the first magnetic pole, which is here. And here you do the same. You bring one coil, you fit there, and you take another coil and you feed it back to the beginning of your magnet. Oh, let's undo this. This is going to cause problem. Undo. So you put the second coil in the beginning of your gravitation. So some of your field will flow through to the unit, and some of your fields, I made a mistake there, didn't I? Here, sorry, this goes to here. So some of your field goes that way, and some of the fields of the magnetical will come back to its origin. The same you do with the gravitational. Some of your field will go, some of your fields will go forward to the magnetical, and some of the field goes as a feedback to original magnet. I think this will give you a very good representation of the whole structure if you look at it as the structure of a planet. If we look at the structure of the planet, field spreads and field is received. We don't only receive magnetical, we receive part of the gravitational field strength and a magnetical field strength. Or maybe there is another option. When you set up these coils, if you look at it, when you set up your magnetical and gravitational system as a full plate, you place a, well, let's connect it. This is your wire, let's say, which goes out to the load, and this is the wire which came in. Maybe you put a split capacitor here, and what you do, you put part of it into going out, and you put part of it into the beginning. You can do a one system split capacitor, and you will do it. If you make batteries with the plasma systems, there is a habit of all of you to make batteries like this, where you make a, when you make batteries, you all make batteries like this. You put something in, you put a GaNs around it, you nano-coat it, you put a GaNs around it, and you use a paper or whatever, and then you put aluminum foil or whatever around it, and then you connect your, I need another color. You need your connections in a way that you take one power and this into your supply. This is wrong. This is totally wrong, because you need a split capacitor here. That this split capacitor allows you the following. In a way, you take what you need into your load, but you have to create, you put a split capacitor there, but you have to feed part of this back to the center. This is what I explained to our guys in the Innovation Center. You cannot make battery the way you work as a normal battery, positive, negative. If you don't feed your center of your battery, soon you find out the battery runs out. This is why a lot of you have a problem in running your plasma batteries for a long time, because you don't feed it. That feeding it creates a potential difference for the GaNs to release more of. So when you build your plasma capacitor, plasma batteries, and you see they don't work, is because without this split capacitor, it'll never work for a long time. It's a one-way traffic. You bring in and you drain out. You're not saving anything back in. You have to make your split capacitors, you have to make your batteries always on a feedback. Even your capacitors has to have a feedback to the center. If this is hard for you to understand, go back to the teachings of Alex. Alex showed you this from the first time all of you got excited. He's done the same thing. He always works on the first bead as the feedback. He gave you a coil, he put aluminum foils or whatever, he gave you one winding to the other and one winding back to the center pin. You know this, but when it comes to plasma batteries, you are overlooking it. He has created a split plasma, a split capacitor, and you miss it. So you know it. So from now on, when you make batteries, when you make plates, don't lose the sight of this. Because you need, by the conservation of plasma, it looks like you're connecting the same wires, but the fields balance themselves in what they need. A lot of you made, and some of you are making, cutting these crystals to do the hole inside for the piece crystal. Collect the dust, but don't use the dust. Put the dust through a sieve, because the dust uses its orientation. But whatever you have as residual stones, add those to your ganses. You find out your ganses become more powerful. When you GaNs coating, or when you're making the batteries with the GaNs in it, add the crystals into it. You'll get a more powerful system because you get more homogeneous, unified fields, which gives you stability in your batteries. These are little things, if you watch, I think you'll find out it gives you a totally different performance. Something we showed last week, and I showed to you in a way of the plasma technology in understanding of the system, where we had the coils. If I can go back to the way we done it. The magnetical and the gravitational, and they were connected to the loads or whatever. And if you noticed, I held the system in my hand. Or if you go coming from another gravitational system in, another plate in, I hold the two wires, which is plasmatic, in my hand, which is a present electronic system. It says it cannot be done. You can't hold two ends of the wire in your hand because you get electrocuted. But in fact, because you work in a plasma condition, and if you nano-coated yourself, this has to be done by the people who understand, not just because you nano-coated it is there. Because if there's a molecular structure missing, you electrocute yourself. You have to understand what you're doing. In that process, you create a position of the field transfer of two different levels, literally across. In a way, if you put it this way, if I bring the two lines, across your body. And if you understand this, or if you can hold according to the magnetical, which is your physical condition, gravitational, which is your emotional condition, you know how to touch, in these experts to do it, you can eradicate any disease in your body. If your wish is to get rid of a cancer, because you have to understand how to do the coating. It's not so simple. You can receive the energy which offsets against cancer. In the development, I've seen people drawing the pictures of where I showed the crystal with the 3 rings on it. You'd never use this for medical application, because here the beam is so powerful that it can create destruction. But if you have the body of the man and you can control the field flow between two plates of the same, you can change exactly what I taught you earlier on. Exactly, where are we? Here. By changing the output, you control the field flow. The field flow is the body of the man in between the two plates. If you structure here, and now you dictate what you want to change. Remember one important thing. In the human body, we don't work in kilowatts, and we don't work in megawatts. In human body, we work on a very simple system. Nano, nano, nano watts in plasmatic condition. Do not use a power supply. Using a power supply, you have already committed yourself to the point of no return sometimes. So build your own plasmatic batteries, the way I just explained, and connect your plasmatic batteries into your stackers. So you work totally in a plasmatic condition, and electron vibration does not count. Then what you wish to take from the system for a specific reason, for a specific application, you will receive. My wish is to receive enough energy that balances the cancer in my breast. If you have elevated your emotion to the position of accepting that the wrong decision has been made somewhere, then it will happen. Or connect the system, your battery, into literally a 3-stacker, which you cover your physicality, your motion, and the soul. That the output from the system will feed you in what you need, because you have elevated the physicality with the emotion and with the soul of the entity. So now, in so many ways, the medical systems which you will be producing, the medical system which you bring into operation, work totally in a plasma condition, in the gas condition, and as your body is made of the same entity, you will find out that it works. You can connect the same, each of the stacker to your body, but connect it not to a battery, but a plasmatic battery. Feed it the same feedback on a split, back to front, from one stacker to another, that the body finds its own balance and its own peace. So if you have the stacker unit here, one double coil, you have the body of the man here, and then you have another stacker unit here. You take a feedback, not only the feedback system here, but you need a feedback system to this too. And then you connect this side to a plasmatic battery. You connect the other end, the body, the field of the body in between, because the body is not, as you see, as a line, but a structure. And the cancer in this, let's say, in this kidney here, is different than the total field of the plasma of the kidney cells. Will try to balance out, and the eradication of the cancer should not take, beginning of the eradication of cancer should not take more than a few seconds. Because magnetic fields interact immediately. This is the only way. It's the only way you can eradicate diseases in the space, by changing the gravitational magnetic field, the environment of what you call stronger fields. Because if it's weaker, the body usually can handle it because it's stronger. It brings it to balance. When it's stronger, it has to come to balance to it, so it puts energy into it. And I always say, you never die of cancer. You die of the loss of energy, which speeds the cancer. So now you understand, we're going into the real space technology, in the knowledge of the man, in a space where matter is non-existent. Because here, your reactor creates a plasma, it goes to a plasmatic condition, it crosses a plasma, which is a gas of your own body, and it works. In a way, your battery here is the storage of because he has a cancer, to balance it out. When it comes to feeding yourself, when you want the spectrum of different elements, like let's say vitamin C, vitamin A, whatever, calcium or whatever, you don't look into creating systems here. You add your material into your battery. And then as you are connected to it, or you're connected to yourself, the way you've seen with what I showed just now, you take from this reserve what you need for the structure of the body. Your storage comes in your plasmatic battery in a field interaction. So this is what you have to understand in the total structure of the work of the plasma. The teaching is becoming very condensed, very, very compact. So much knowledge is given this morning that will take man hundreds of years to decipher, if man ever understands the totality. So, in one stroke, in one more or less lecture, in one teaching, in one morning, you have seen the totality of the beginning of the space technology in real space dimension, not the matter dimension. But you still have small problem, some of you, very big problem. You still have to work with the copper wires to transfer the energy through nanomaterials. In time, you will learn you do everything from here. In fact, you change this with the capacitor of your emotion. But time needs teaching. As I said, like Renan this morning, explaining that he wanted to stop the rain. He has to start seeing the control of emotion. You have to start understanding how you can control your emotion, that you can start a thrust, you can create an apple, or whatever you need in a gravitational magnetic field that allows you to receive in the field, and if it needs it in a matter condition, you can convert it to matter. If you want to receive the energy of, let's say, vitamin C without eating an orange, you can receive it. But if you like to give it manifested as a physical that you can chew it, you can still do it. So. Now, can we go into the questions?
Mr. Kesh, there is one question in star
Just 1 second.
formation.
1 second, please. 1 second. That's what I meant. I explained. Yeah, okay. Sorry, carry on.
Yes, in star formation, should we use the battery? The battery is the same as you were saying in this medical application. So in star formation that we're having.
Why not? You're not looking for a rotation of the physicality. You're looking for the energizing rotation of the plasma, and the GANS is a plasma state.
Right, and
I think what to do. Let me go back on it. I don't know if what is the problem is the confirmation of what you're doing is correct, because you have to have physical confirmation. This is the habit of the man. If our knowledge seeker who has put the video on the internet with the floating of the GANs on the top of the plate, or the video which we had a few months ago where we saw the motion of the plasma, which was taken in a slow motion. We could see the plasma was moving, the gases moving in the CO2 container. If you can put those on, then it confirms to you that you don't need a motor to create the rotation. The box was a square box, it's a CO2 box, and we see how the plasma flows. So you have to first, if you have a doubt in your own understanding, create the first CO2 GANs and look at the motion of the plasma, then you know it's there. And then you can go to the next step. But if you have trusted in your own understanding, you can use the plasma batteries without using any, what do you call it, motors, because you don't need a rotation. We have shown, even with the physical rotation, 2,500 RPM is the maximum. We went to 6,000-7,000 with Armand. There's no change in the plasma.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. One of the main questions that people seem to have is, how do we measure the plasma? And
Pardon? How do
we measure the plasma? How do you measure plasma? How can it be measured? How can it be? How can we determine, you know, whether one configuration works and whether one doesn't, and that kind of thing?
the
One thing
Innovation
earlier
Center?
about
Yeah,
using
the
your
Innovation. Yeah, the Innovation Center is working on producing a measuring tool for plasma strength. They already started last week. I think a couple of people have been allocated to do that. I think it's, if Brendan is online, he can tell you. We are looking at both polarity and the what I call the radial motion of the plasma, the speed of the rotation, the speed of the rise of the field, the level position of the field. In a way, some of you, if you manage to drill a hole in your crystals, you already achieved this. You can measure it this way. I explained this in Rick's teaching yesterday, I think, or I was explaining to somebody. If this is your crystal, and this is your stackers, and you manage to make a hole inside your crystal, and you manage to fill it up with the GANs. Don't fill it up all with the GANs. Fill it up with a little bit of the GANs, or two, three different GANSes that they can sit inside your, oh, let's put a black one here, inside your liquid. Hold the ends of your stacker unit and start measuring your emotion. See if this chap goes up and this chap comes down. If all three move with happiness up or move with sadness down. Measure the strength of the anger. If the anger allows taking too much, take the state of love. If it moves up, now you start making the first tools again on the plasmatic level. This is what we are doing. But then, if you have made the hole big enough that you can observe the motion, observe if this rotation here is faster here than this layer. Does the CO2 layer goes faster when you are emotionally interacted? Or does the copper oxide moves faster? This is how the new tools of plasma will be developed. There is no other way. We have no measurement of the flow. And then is the certain speed that we cannot even see rotation belong to the submaterial strength, or do we see a higher, faster flow that to us is stationary, belongs to the upper layer of plasma of magnetic field strength that we are not aware of, is beyond our level of observation. These are the tools which you have to develop. Some of you who have come to this line, you can do this. Try to see how you can possess it, how you can position it. As I said, we have opened a door to a already known but untapped knowledge of the universe. We have to create tools that we can, for us to observe, to measure. Is the speed of the rotation of, let's say, the red line to the top and the reduction in the speed of the rotation of the middle, the green one, and the distance between the two, which shows a split in the cell in the level of the soul and the emotion? Is the physicality dimension of the lighter, of the higher energy. So these are the tools which now Innovation Center is working on. New tools of measurement. And then after all that, when you've done the measurements, how can we apply it if, let's say, John moves out and Susie moves in using the same system? Is it applicable to all of us? Or do we have to, by our understanding, add into this structure amino acid, which connects to the structure of the man? This is what we are endeavoring in development and innovation. The physical building takes time. Testing will take centuries. Do we make a tool that in a space has a measurement? We know if what we feel has a physical measurement, has an emotional measurement, or does the entity in front of you has a soul level? When you see it, this is the level of the man, let's say, and if this is the level of the man, plasmatic gravitational magnetic field, is he a submatter species or is it of a higher order? Is it the red moves further up to show is the strength of much higher order on the level of the soul of the man? Or does it go on the copper, which is this matter state, and it goes lower and it comes from the subspecies of the plasmatic condition? We are not the beginning, we are not the end. We are somewhere in the bottom of the end. So there are still lower strength fields below us, which still, because of their interaction, have existence and have life, or what do you call life? And it's the same above us. So these tools which we make are for us to understand in a space what we are going to interact. 2016 is promised in the holy books, opening of the universe, and we will achieve it. It is in Torah, and it's the writing of Hebrews. The state of Israel is trying to guarantee 2016 that will not happen, that this will stay in power, but they know the term is over. So try to understand the totality of the understanding of the plasma from now on, and don't get so much entangled in the matter state. Even if you use the matter state, see what are the consequences of what does it give as a plasmatic field that you can interact with. Then you can move very rapidly into any direction. If you work collectively between not one nation, but work across the Keshe foundations around the world together and build up a system, you should be able to achieve the building of the first UFO by the birth of Christ. You have everything. The only thing which will fail you is yourself as a race. Understand every section of the totality. The matter state, the emotional state, the state of the soul, and the connection to the body of the man. Then you can work in different directions. Is Alex online? Has he woken up yet? Alex? Can you see him online anywhere?
Not
No.
seeing him right
He's
now.
still asleep. He works till 2 or 3 o'clock. He started anew. He wants to do something new, so we'll see what he brings us. For me, for people who are enlightened like Alex and Arwen, it's very easy to explain the process. If the monkey does, monkey sees, stops, and you start using your intuition, we all reach the same point very, very rapid. It's not how many turns you give to the coil, if you can save a copper here or can save something else somewhere else. It's the essence of the creation of the field which will make the difference. Now we go into real space technology from now on. A lot of you have all the tools to make the systems work the way you want. And don't rely, as I said, on a massive M14 copper wires. You can do it with the wires from 3-4 meters of a computer line or a telephone line. That's fine, it can work. You still get the same effect. At least you can start seeing some effects. Don't look in running a motor or hitting the house, because if you understood a little bit of what we thought, you can create a plasma that in so many ways your body will feel warm and you need no heating. And this is what we said from the beginning. Now you can see more and more delivery of the knowledge, but it's according to your understanding how you apply it for your own use. We call it Magrath power system, and you're looking for electron vibration. In that Magrath power system which you receive as a car or a house, every field you need to produce even the spaceship is inside it. It's you who's going to find out how to tap into it. As I said, Alex has tapped into part of understanding of it, and as you did, you put the cup and you put the gases of whatever around it, you put an orange, and the water you drank had a taste of the orange. Now we have put the stacker unit, and this time we've seen the physicality oil of the orange. The field goes this way. So you've seen it in one direction, now you see it totally in a plasmatic direction. As I said, mutation of elements has been the promise of Baha'u'llah, blessed his name. Alex, where is he? He's still half awake. If he comes online, if you see Alex, can you please bring him on? He's on Zoom. Alex, He's busy talking, chatting to someone as usual. Can you send him a message to open his line?
He's on here now, Mr. Cash. I just promote
Okay.
him to, I'll promote him to panelist. He should be able to come in here now.
Alex, are you there?
Yes, Mr. K, good morning.
Hi, good morning. You just woke up?
No, I've been following the lecture since morning. I was on live stream.
Okay, Alex, can you open, or can you at least focus on open how you're producing the oil on the container?
That is
Or you don't want to do it?
not that I don't want to do it, but it's not this. I have a picture of it. I can load up. I can show it to you. Let me
Okay,
see.
can you load it up? We share a screen with you.
Okay, let
Don't
me see.
show your computer, don't show your programs. Put it on before you share a screen.
Okay, then let me do that while. Let me just find a picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, some of you might have a very good news in respect to something which causes a lot of problems. You'll see the people who concerned have found a solution for the problem which we showed. But I'll come back to it when it's completed. I'll just tell you simply, the ones who cause the most damage, they're going to get damaged mostly by their own behavior very soon. And it's of their own doing, not us. We just observe it in the process. Yes. Have you managed to do it?
I don't know how to share the screen, but can you share my screen, Vince? Hello.
It's a green button on your panel.
Okay, yeah, I've
Zoom.
seen it. Okay, I shared this one.
Okay.
Can you see that now? I'm sharing it. Share. Okay, 1 minute.
We haven't received it yet.
All
Yes,
right.
it's coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah, that's the one.
And you see it there. It says Magra Power Unit.
Yeah.
And you see the orange.
What I did is this coils here. These are just plain coils. Plain copper coils. It's the 24 twists and 12 twists. I have like 4 of them in, which are connected to a nano material here, nano wire.
Sorry, can you add this, take this, add London, United Kingdom
Oh,
out?
sorry, I don't even know. Sorry, I
Just
don't.
no. We don't want you to know you're in London, but we all know that.
I wasn't doing that. All right. What I did is, first of all, let me start from the beginning. At the bottom of the bottle is another chamber which I put the CO2 gallons of rice. I mean, CO2 gallons, the strength of rice, and then I added water in the bottle, and then I put these coils. This one is 24 tons, and then the gravitational is 12 tons. I have 4 of them which are connected together and then connected to a nano material that goes out to the top. And then there's this is a zinc wire, and then in here, somewhere around here, it's a zinc plate that I cut, a piece of zinc I cut. And then I connected them, well, I drained the energy with these capacitors, these batteries, little batteries I made. And and then I placed it close to the maggraph system. This is the south pole of my maggraph system, and then from here you can get oil here, and then the bottle of the body of the bottle as well, it produces oil. That's it. And then there's orange. Well, there's oranges on top of the maggraph system. Actually, what I'm getting is the oil from the oranges because it actually smells like the orange itself. That's what I get on the body of this bottle. And that's it. And then this is another reactor, another sub reactor I made. I try to power this with the DC power supply, the potentiometer. So sometimes when I increase the power, the content of the bottle changes. I don't know if you can see it at the bottom. And that's all really. Hello? Hello? I
Yep,
can hear you.
we can hear you, I believe. Is there
Okay.
a comment on that, Mr. Kish? Oh, he is speechless.
Okay.
Mr. Kish.
I made him dumb.
Yeah, yeah, Mr. Cash is speechless right now. He's
All right, that's
undergoing a battery replacement.
Under rechargeable condition.
okay.
This is nice. You see, this is how. Did you test what we discussed
Yes, I did.
yesterday?
Yeah, it
Has
triggered.
changing the orange has increased the oil?
Not that it increased the oil. It almost dried up, but when I changed the orange, it triggered it up again, and then it started producing oil again. But it comes in very little quantity, not a lot.
Yeah,
Where
but it's just a transfer of the oil from the orange.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
explain that when you go into the room, you the strong smell of orange.
yeah. The place is smell really. I mean, if you go closer to this end, this this space here, you can smell the orange very very strongly. You smell orange there, but here you get the oil of the orange on the body of the bottle. Attached to the body, not inside. At the body of the bottle, you get the oil, and it drip down to the base here.
Okay. Check the battery is dying again.
I didn't get that. And then here, this is another. Rick, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Rick, okay.
Yep.
This is another reactor here that I placed an orange on top. Yesterday I drank from this bottle. I did not eat throughout the day. It's very very powerful. It has a lot of energy in there.
What is in that bottle? Nothing, just water.
It's not just it's water in it, but I mean at the base of it, like I did this at the base of this, I have CO2 with the strength of moringa, and then I attached cubes of CH3 and CO2 to the body
No,
of
but is there any electrode in that water, or is it
no,
just
there's no electrode. It's just plain. It's just water. There's no electrode. The only electrode is the orange on top. Did you get that, Mr. Kesh?
yeah?
Okay,
This,
there's no electrode. It's just the orange or the tangerine on top.
can you change the orange to apple and let us know next week? But
Okay.
don't do that herb which got you drunk last time, huh?
All right then. I'll try not to.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Alex.
All right,
Thanks for all
all
your
right,
work.
Mr. Kesh. All right. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. I call Alex the Mandela of the Keshe Foundation. You
Wow.
understand why? You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr.
Now,
Kesh.
can we change this? There's something which I discussed with Alex yesterday as well. We were talking last night. Can we go back to non-sharing?
Um, let's share. See that.
Stop sharing
Okay.
because
Yeah,
it's stop
yeah,
sharing.
yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you very much. What have we lost? Where are you touching? Okay. There is something which we discussed. The reason for this, I'm bringing it up because a number of people have started experimenting this. So, as I said, when you touch, we explain because it's been discussed in the teaching of yesterday with Rick, and some other people are discussing this position. And this is important to understand what you're doing and how you reach this position. As you know, confirmation of the existence of man is through his sexuality. And A lot of men have played a lot of games over time to confirm they are, doesn't matter male or female or whatever, to confirm they are competent, or at least more competent than they can imagine. Some of you have started making the bottles or container of water with the following way, where you have put on a cup CH3, and on the other side of the cup you have placed CO2. Energy with emotion. Some of you, when you drank from this cup, this combination, we say we call it in the term of medicine sexual arousement, or more active in sexual behavior. We knew this, we built this cup years ago, and I explained to a guy who, not having any life, had 7 girlfriends. But some of you have gone a step further and you have added a zinc plate on the top of this cup. You have connected the emotion to what is zinc, as we say, you call it, you eat oysters or certain bottom of the sea animal, and they call them, it's good for your sexual behavior, and you'll find arousement or better performance, as you call it, with your partner. This water literally is a container for increasing sexual activity and being able to support it through energy. If you understood what just Alex explained, with the transfer of the energy of the orange, the oil, the smell and the taste, what you have done in the water, you have added the gravitational magnetic field of the energy, you have added the gravitational magnetic field of emotion, and you have added the gravitational magnetic field of sexual behavior. And when you drink the water, I said to the ones who use it, they call it the Viagra water, or you call it the love potion. Be careful when you use these things, because a lot of you are experimenting. This knowledge has become like a toy in the hand of children. They do anything with it to find its limitation. So please be careful when you do such a thing. I know some of you is testing in different conditions and what I call understanding the emotion, that maybe you add an orange or you add honey on it for the lover to taste like a honey and sweet, or whatever you like. You see the transformation of the oil. This is what actually happens. Your performance, it depends on the expectation, but this is part of the development of the what I call medical application or the health application, or the processing of the emotion to the physicality of the mind. We cannot deny this or hide it as part of the teaching. It exists, so you have to know. So this is a second part of understanding of the what I call interaction of the plasmas with interaction of the physical body of the man, which itself is made of the gans. So if you're spending a huge amount of money on different kind of performance, be it the cancer, be it sexual behavior, be it Alzheimer's, now you see the alternative way that it can be done. What you got to do with Alzheimer's, you take the zinc away. You add to more of CO2 according to the strength which you want to take. With disability, physical disability, if you want to add, you have to know to what And what is the disability connected to? Muscular disability, if you want to use different kind, if it's the cancer of the blood, what is connected to, and the rest of it. Yes, my coffee is here. Thank you very much. I was just about to shut and he walked in. So slowly we are literally encircling the totality of the application of the technology in all aspects in the space. But if you understand this, you can extend it. How you do your GANs, how you allocate and position your GANs will affect a lot of things. If we look at this as a, what I call a technical drawing, and look at the cup from the top, if you positioned CO2 there and a CH3 here, and maybe you added another CO2 here, another CO2 here, an amino acid there, and something else here, you continuously change the structure inside. You can start developing technologies which you understand more. Don't do this. In your containers, just not do. In your containers, start playing what I just taught you on the other side. Another container, another container. Maybe a container here, and a container there, and a different container here. Then the cocktail will be very different. Try never, ever to touch or consume the GANs, but you use the fields of it because the body takes what it needs from the field. Something very interesting, which I explained this some times ago, if you understood. This is you. And you drink the cup. If you keep the status of the cup as it is, our professor wants to come in. He can hear me, so he's going to scratch all the door. Yes, you want to come in, darling? There we are. Good morning. Yes. You got to pick him up. Can you pick him up? He's there with you. He goes to Marco. Just hold him, please. You got to understand that now, even though you have, he escapes, he comes in. How? Because he can hear me. Very intelligent dog. You drank the water, but you forgot one essential thing. The fields of plasma never disconnect. If you keep the cup and don't change its combination, you receive all the fields because you connect it through your emotion. Because it's like the mother from the child. Even though the mother has walked away to the other side of the planet, is still connected to the mother. And the child does not matter where he goes. This, if you understand, change to your stacker unit. Once you interact with your stacker unit, it's permanent. This is what even yesterday or the day before we were discussing with Harvard, that when you take a pen, a paint pen or a paint pad, we tell you try to be individual, do not share, because the balance fields are yours, and now you share it with somebody else, you receive their balance fields too. When you make a pen, when you make a pad, try to do it in one go. Very interesting concept. In the coming weeks, we will drop a number of CO, what we call the energy magrav units, across Syria and across Palestine. Random. A large number will be dropped, not for people to use. We hope that people don't find them. These units carry the peace message from humanity. In a way, we give them the intention of the peace. And we rely on this process that the war in this part of the system, the country, the nation, the planet, will become to the balance according to the stability of the plasma. And hopefully, with the systems which you have made, will connect to bring the position completed. So the peace process is more in your hand than anybody else. If you understand the operation of your cup, which you wanted for pleasure, if you use your system completely correctly, it will bring peace for mankind. Go to the airport, build systems, and ask anybody who's going to Syria, to Iraq, or Middle East in the war regions, which is created by West for the benefit of their pockets, and just tell them, take it with you. Send these crystal systems as a packages of peace at the airport. You'll find out very soon we achieve it. I know one man who's devoted his life to it, and I respect him highly. Mike Nassif has put all his life to support the peace, and you will achieve it. But the rest of you have to do understand what he does, and you can support it in a different way. You were too eager to have something for yourself. Now that you understand the process of the peace, and if you are here to complete this cycle, in fact, it's very easy to achieve. Build a system and give it as a gift to a man you don't know but is going to the war zone. Give it to the American soldiers. As they go there to war, they create peace. This is your job. This is what, if you are part of a supporter of Keshe Foundation, is the next step. Build it with emotional peace and give it to a man you don't know that is going there that will bring peace. Go, if you're American, French, German, go to a Palestinian and pay him and give him a unit, say, go to Palestine, go to Syria. We pay or get them there, whatever you can, that we bring peace amongst each other. The wars are not created by men of my nation, but by the man who have no nation and is irrelevant one country to another. They just see money in war, and that has come to an end. If you are a Jew, build a system in Israel and give it to a Palestinian to take with him into Palestine and Gaza. And keep a copy of it with you in Israel. So we come more or less. Today is just about the next day we meet on the teachings, the day before Christmas, if I'm correct, on the 24th. And let's see how many of us can change the course in a week. As I said to you, do not go for these heavy wires. Make the piece with non-dimensional. Bring it in with the little wires. Add them in a very simple system. Build them, mix them, and now that you understand you don't need the crystals, but the crystal of peace sits within the center of the emotion of the man, right in the center of your brain. And then we'll see what we can achieve. The failure is not mine, but it's the human race, because we taught everything we can need or you have. Any questions?
Well, we can certainly go on with questions, Mr. Kesh. I'm wondering if whether you want to draw things to a close soon, or how you
Doesn't
feel.
matter. We have no teaching. We have no time. That's why our mascot is free. With just a few of us here, we can teach. We can answer a few questions and then bring it to close.
Okay. Well, there was an interesting question from Katrian, who asked, is there a danger for the energy unit when there is a lightning striking nearby in the network, causing a high peak of electricity entering the unit?
Nope. Should not. Unless you have short-circuited yourself somewhere, no.
Is it possible the unit could store the energy from a lightning strike?
Lightning energy is a matter state, and even with all its strength in a matter state, has not much power in a plasma state. It disappears into nothingness. If I remember correctly, in one of the teachings of the health section, what Dr. Kostova told us was that the body of the man, when you die, releases energy equal to 18 Hiroshima bombs. And even when we die, we get electrocuted. There's not much Hiroshima bomb because that's in the matter state of the plasma measurement of them. So, in fact, the lightning compared to the systems you have is not much energy compared to what can be absorbed and released.
So I find that interesting because, like normally, scientists would say that one of the only forms of plasma around the planet would be lightning, for example. And you mentioned lightning earlier, but in the sense of nano power, nano voltages or potential. Yeah, that would be like in the nano layers and in the nano world, the micro world. But yet you reject this, what we see in our atmosphere is this really strong thing. It's frightened mankind since the beginning of time. They've seen this lightning come down and set a tree on fire, or destroy things. And
Have you seen? I've been watching when the lightning at such a power hits the ground. I witnessed it in Sierra Leone a couple of years ago now. Witnessed it in Gambia about 15 years ago. Strange enough, as you know, the lightning doesn't come from the top; it comes from the earth. If you understand that, then you understand it's the matter state which triggers the plasma of the energy of the plasma, not the energy of the plasma triggering the matter state. The lightning, the ignition of it comes from the physical matter side. And
okay,
you
that's a
understand
good point.
why. That's why. Because when you make these coils, your connection is on the nano layer. You don't go into the matter state, even though you connect with the matter state.
Hmm.
From the point when you, especially now, if you connect plasma systems, all that energy most probably dissipates in a plasma battery. It's, even though it's huge in the matter state, it's very minute in the plasma state.
Right.
Next question.
Um, Max Bejre asks, I understood the need of nano-coating the wires for getting the feedback effect of the plasma. What about if there are some non-wiring connections, such as a fuse or a meter or different phases?
It's the same, still matter connected.
So it'll still nano-coat, even though it could be I don't know, a stainless steel fuse with a...
Yeah, because what happens is the plasmatic coating. We only observe plasmatic coating.
And the plasmatic coating will coat literally everything in terms of
More
not
or less, it's so
copper
powerful,
wire.
yes. It
And
just needs a few layers. It doesn't need hundreds of
right, so
thousands.
it's just
Back.
about to suggest that it would probably be invisible. You would see necessarily a
No,
black
no,
coating on your fuse or something like that.
no,
It
not
could be very
necessarily. No.
much on the nano level, invisible.
It is a nano layer. What will be interesting in time, the scientists will confirm this, is that you have this effect, more or less. What they will see. I have to start back and come in again. No, it's okay. So, if this is your copper wire, you might not see any nano coating, but what they will observe is plasma coating of different strength. And what will happen is that the flow of the plasma will take in these layers. The strength will not nanocoat or will not release the atomic structure of the matter state, but uses the matter state as conjugate for the flow of the plasma. You will not get any nano coating on the surface because the plasma strength is too high to even nano coat. But what will be interesting, you will see nano coating internally inside the lattice. No, no, it doesn't, because it's a field which flows around it, yeah, but not in the material. The plasma is too strong to be contained by the matter state. It flows outside. It's literally like a atom, but you have a spectrum of the fields, and the plasmatic flow is within the structure. This is the superconductivity of the plasma, unknown to man, but in time you will use it. If you manage to create this, we've spoken about this before, in how you make the holes into the copper unit, and you can make it, then you will understand you use this as a position of zero-time transportation. You make tubes that creates that condition, then you decide what the strength of the speed of the plasma you want to travel in. The higher, the faster the speed of the plasma, the faster you go inside the tube. So in that direction, you speed up. If here you do 10 times the speed of light, here you do 1,000 times the speed of light. And if you can get yourself in this field of strength, you do 1,000,000 times the speed of light. These are in time, the next teachings in the next term and in the summer term will complete the teaching. I've got to teach you 2 more terms, and then the teaching goes back to the knowledge seekers, because it's the next generation of teaching. I teach from January to April for the 3rd year teaching, and then I teach from April to July for the masters of the masters. Then you learn how to control everything at the universal level without a matter condition. A lot to come. In 6 months, we've done a lot. In 1 year. It's for 1 year. But that's for the 3rd year if you go to the 3rd year, 3 years. And then the last we do the masters. The masters of the one who understand the totality of the creation. By the time I finish next summer, those who go through the 3 years and then the last term of the last year, through their emotion and the thought, they can touch the whole of the creation.
Mr. Kesh, we have someone from the Chinese folks. I'm not sure who they are exactly yet, but they're ready to ask a question, I believe.
Is Lisa there to translate, or they speak English?
I'm not clear yet. They had their hand up, so I'll just unmute and see what they have to say. I can't even read the name. Hello? Can you speak? Hello? You had your hand up. I wondered if you wanted to speak, the person that has the Chinese name. Your microphone is open. Hello? Okay, well, I guess they have some trouble there, so I'm going to have to
mute it.
They don't have
a problem. One of the things we're trying to do in the next coming months is to equip all the Keshe foundations around the world with their own satellite system, which means I already spoken to Alex that it's going to cost a lot of money for the foundation to do this, but we cannot exclude everything only English speaking and the European or people who have internet. A lot of people don't have internet, but they have access to satellite channels and teaching. So the process is already, we are looking, Vince and the others, in setting up a satellite system, that suitcase satellite systems will be in most of the Keshe Foundation teaching. It's going to cost something like $140, $200 per megabyte download or upload, that we can bring the teachings into the satellite in Rome, and from Rome to transfer into all languages, that we have no problem with the present internet problem. Which means all the Keshe Foundation teaching centers will be connected to their own suitcase packages, that we have no more interference. It took us about a year to complete it, I think. Am I correct? Our webmaster of the teaching, he's sitting here. He knows what he's about to do. So we shouldn't have these kind of problems from teaching point of view, or asking questions of what we saw with Alex in Nigeria. It's all needs setting up. We'll hopefully take possession of the television station and the internet station somewhere in February, and somewhere in May, June, we'll announce the opening of the Keshe Foundation banking system. So these shortages of lack of communication should be sorted in the next 12 months, that they have their own independent, what they call satellite link to the center.
Maybe we'll be on instant communications by then.
I hope so. Depends what these people built. Huh?
Well, maybe we'll have one more question here, Mr. Keshe, and let you go, because it's getting on to over 3.5 hours here now. Doug McDonald asks, would Mr. Keshe agree that the soul is a tiny plasma sun, 1/10,000th the size of a tip of a hair, as the ancient Indian Vedas describe?
I haven't measured it, but you're not far off.
Well, it is an interesting question.
This is what we said in the teaching of last week and in the private teaching of the foundation. The emotional part of the physical being of the man is not a crystal, as we say crystal, but is created again in the same position as we showed from the field of the essence, within the center of the brain of the man. The totality of the brain, when you put the totality of the brain together, I keep on going to the bottom. Oh yeah, we came this way. If you put the totality of the, what you call the brain of the man, and you put the two parts of it together, in the fields which they create, the same as what you saw in the stacker unit, which led to creation of the crystal that is correct on the sign, leads to creation of a position, what we call crystal of life, in the center of the brain of the man. And that's where your emotion, the essence of existence, exists without physicality of the matter. I said to you before that if you cut the brain of the man, so many has been cut, but never understood. There is a point, and that little tiny point is strong enough to move such a body of the man through its control, because it's the brain which feeds it itself. It's the same thing. Look, maybe we go into this and we stop, because most of you will not understand this, but let's do it this way. In time, you will understand, all of you, exactly what I'm talking about. But some of you might be enlightened in a different way. If you remember the stacker unit, the fields, if you look at the shape of the man, you have the same structure. Where the two, in essence of energy, come together, lead to creation of the emotion of the man in the center. So when you see different shape of brain, It shows you different crystallization in energy level of the body of the man. It's no different in that respect, where these field forces of a lower level have led to the creation of the physicality of the brain. And if you go back understanding that the field forces strengthen as you go in, the emotional crystal of the man sits exactly in the center of the brain, created by field forces of it. You have three sections in the brain of the man. You have the two hemispheres, and you have a third one, the little brain, main brain. The interaction of the three field forces is exactly the same as the three layers. They lead to the creation of a system. That's where you find your emotion. That's where, in connection with totality, you find, due to the interaction of the heartbeat or the totality of the emotion, the soul of the man. You've been looking to find out where your emotion sits, where your soul is connected. Now you understand. Pardon? Yeah. No. It's like when all of you, you've been looking for the crystals, and you already had the crystals. It sits in the center of the coil. I put the, what do you call it? The crystal last week in the center, trying to explain it. I thought somebody might understand, but everybody look at the crystal in the middle. The crystal was not physical, but for you, you have to see it that way. So you find out this principle of three layers leading to tangibility, physical tangibility or plasmatic tangibility of the process at start is always followed. It's the same as if you look at it, you have the three reactors. You know exactly where the emotion of the man sits. And if you know how to interact with it, then you'll find the soul of the man. This is why when you look, even the two hemispheres of the brain of the man are slightly different, because it's still the process of nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen. Deviation creates motion. A lot to learn, still to go. This physical is your main brain, the little one. It's back where you sit. You call it's beyond. It's the connection, what we call the main brain. Yeah, it's part of the structure where the two connect to each other. You look at the size, but you've got to look at the power. What fills the increase? Because here you don't need that much, because a lot of energy continuously comes from the heart to it. Doesn't need to be big. It absorbs continuous energy from the inner part, what you call chakras of the body of the man. This is very much, if you understand what you do with your magrav units. You always look what the physicality can do, and then you looked at, when you set up the power units, you looked at what does system gives you after the power unit. But most of the power sits before the power. So in a way, you look at the physical motion, but the rotation of the field always increases more power in, so you don't need. This is the essence of the creation, when the soul takes over the physicality of the body. As I always say, blessed those who understand the truth. Shall we end it for today?
Yes, sure, Mr. Cash. That sounds like a good idea.
Thank you very much for being here. And as I said, from now on, we enter the true space technology, as I promised you. And in the teachings of next months, we take man to the level to be able to create what he needs according to his emotion, even the positioning of his own physicality. But then you have to be enlightened to understand. Thank you very much for being here. And hopefully we'll see you next Thursday, the day before Christmas, on the 24th of December, and then the day before New Year, on the 31st of December 2015, and we start the cycle of peace as is promised in the Holy Books in 2016. Not by one man, but collectively as one race. Thank you very much for being here.
Very good, Mr. Cash. That was quite a lot of things that came out in this teaching. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Okay, we'll see you next week. And that'll be the end of the 92nd Cash Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, December 17th, 2015. And thank you once again, everybody, for attending.